Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about exploring functions with sliders. Let's get started. Okay, so we've been talking about parent functions, and now what we'd like to do is take a parent function and explore how to modify it to make the shape that we want. So let's start that off by looking at this expression. This is y is equal to 3x plus 4. That's the shape. Now, what we'd like to do is we'd like to match this green line. So let's say we actually, instead of putting in this line, we actually wanted to match this green line. What we can do is we can write our line instead as y equals mx plus b, have these sliders, and then we can explore what happens when we move these. We can change the sliders to match exactly what we want. So in this case, when m is equal to negative 0.5 and b is equal to 3, we line up perfectly with the green line. But when m was equal to 3, and b was equal to 4, then that's going to match up with the blue line. All right, let's go to the next one. So this is asking you to think about, how did you figure out those correct coefficients? What did you have to do to make this line up exactly? What were you thinking as you were doing that? Okay, let's match some more lines. So we're going to need to match up these lines. We want to create this blue line, this red line, and this black line. How should we do that? One thing to be aware of is that there's certain letters that you shouldn't use when you're creating these variables, because we're going to use them throughout. E is a number, about 2.7. R is often used as a radius. T is used as something for parametric functions. So R is for polar functions, and X and Y are for these Cartesian functions. But you can use all the other letters. And in fact, sometimes you want to just use, so let's see, we had y equals mx plus b. Sometimes you want to keep these letters, but if you were to keep the letters, every time in the same page you see the m, it's the same number. So sometimes you'll want to put a subscript. So if you put m and then we do shift minus to do the underscore, that's going to change it's going to give you a subscript, m sub 1, x plus b sub 1. So now we can have y is equal to m1x plus b, y is equal to m2 plus b, b2, and then we can have y is equal to m3 x plus b3. Okay, so now if I use variables for each of those, and let me make this one blue, make this one black. Now I have these sliders that can line up with. I can change each line independently. Okay, so now I want this one to move over. I made it the same slope, and then I can move it up and down. And then there's the blue line. Now I want to do this with the black line. Black line is here. I need to get the same slope. That looks about like the same slope. Let's see. Let's move it down. Well, it's not exactly the same slope. Let's make it. Aha, now the lines are parallel, and now we can line them up. Okay, so now the black line is lined up, and now the red line. Let's move the red line. We need to get the same slope. Uh-oh, looks like we need to make it maybe a negative slope. Negative slope, and then let's move it so that it lines up. Boom. Okay, so we've recreated the picture, and the functions are 1/2 x plus 1/2, 4x minus 3, and negative 2.5x plus 3.5. Okay, so once we are able to match exactly what we want to, we need to make sure to save the values so that we don't lose them. So if you look at what happens, I was in this example, I moved these sliders so that I was very happy with how frowny this parabola was. But now I need to save this. I have a is equal to negative 1.6, c is equal to 2. To save this function, you have to copy down those numbers. A was negative 1.6, c was equal to 2, and now I've saved that function. And now that it's recorded, I can move the a and I can move the c to create a new function. Okay, so but my original shape has been saved. So maybe now I like this one and I want to save that one. So I need to create this 0.6, 0.6 x squared plus 0.7. And now I've saved this one. Maybe I'll make it black as well because I've saved it. Okay, so now I can move this again, and I can move my shape. And so maybe I like this one. So let me save that one as well. Minus 0.2 x squared plus 3.7. All right, so now what I've done is I now have saved each of my shapes along the way. And I don't have to worry about losing them by moving the slider again. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, so reflect on this. Why should you save your work? All right, so we now have a lot of tools from the different parent functions that we have, and we have a lot of different ways to move them around. So let's explore. Like there are no rules. There's no right answer about what you create. You can make whatever you want. Let's learn some techniques to explore, modify, and expand on the power functions, on the parent functions. Let's start with the power function. All right, I'm going to turn these other ones off. All right, we're going to use this parent function. This power function. Y is equal to x cubed. Y equals x cubed. Okay, so here's the first technique. We started off with y is equal to x cubed. We can... don't know why this is here. We can multiply a coefficient, but where there wasn't one before. So when we multiply by 2, the shape changes its way. So when you have a parent function, you can always decide to multiply by a coefficient where there wasn't one before, and that changes the shape. Okay, here's another technique. Add a number to a function. So we could decide that we had our function right here, 2x plus cubed. If we decide we wanted to add something, 2x cubed plus 6, that then moves our shape, and it moves this 2x cubed up 6 units. I mean, you don't have to know exactly what it's going to do. You can just add a number to your function to play around with it. Okay, so now you get a little bit more. You can be even more creative, and you can say, when you see a number, you can replace it by a letter. Remember, don't use E, R, T, X, and Y, but you can replace any number that you see by a letter. Here I've replaced 2 by A, 3 by B, and 6 by C. And now you can move these around, and you can end up changing your shape by doing that. Let's get B back to near 3 again, but we could change it to a little bit different from 3, a little bit different. There's a little bit different, and then we can move this one up and down. This is giving you different tools, and then we can make it wider or flatter or skinnier or different. Changing this A is changing the shape of your function. So as you're doing this, you have full agency. You are able to do exactly what you want. You don't have to make this the way anybody else wants it. You just get to choose. Do you want things to be harmonious? Do you want one shape to match with the other shape? Or would you prefer that these shapes that you have some discord, have some a feeling that makes you a little uneasy inside? As you play around, note that sometimes you change the slider and we lost half of the function. That's okay. And, maybe you like having half and maybe you don't like having half. Sometimes you make these mistakes and they lead to the best results. So don't be afraid to try something new. A mistake in the end might not be a mistake in the end. All right. So suppose you're given the function absolute value of x. What changes could you make based on these techniques? And what else might you do to this function? So I'm going to check to see if we don't. So that's an implicit function. What if, so why don't we go back to the previous page and play around with it with absolute value of x? Right, absolute value of x. Right, we could do that, or we could have the vertical bars. All right, technique 1 said multiply it by something that wasn't there before. Well, we could multiply it by 2 here. We could multiply by 4 here. We could, okay, so those we've multiplied some things. Both of those things change the shape of the function. Okay, what else could we do? We could add a number to the function. So maybe we add in 1, and maybe inside here we maybe subtract 1. Okay, so that's something we could do. Those things seem to be moving this function around. Okay, but technique 3 says take anything that's a number and change it into a letter. So I'm going to use some new letters. So maybe I'll just call them N, M, P, and Q. All. So now if I move N, that does this. Move M, that's doing something interesting. Move M, it does this. Move P, it does this. And move Q, it does this. So this is giving us some different tools about what we can do with our with the absolute value function to make it do interesting, have these pointy shapes. All right. Let's now talk about these implicit functions. We had these circles. So we can do the same type of thing. We can do the same techniques that we had before. We can put some coefficients. Maybe we take 2x squared, and then we have minus y squared. Whoa! Okay, that's doing something exciting. What if let me put in this expression. Why don't I do this? ax squared minus by squared. Put in some sliders. What's going to... Oh, equals. Haha, right. I have to put in an equal sign here. Equals 2. As I change these numbers, whoa, this is changing it that way. This is... Oh, I got my circle and an ellipse back. There's different things that happen when I change these numbers. So what happens, I mean, we could even add in some other things. So here's x squared plus y squared plus dxy. Putting in this D shape made my ellipse go diagonal. Whoa, whoa. And then we get these hyperbolas that are not quite the same shape as the other ones. Okay, so that was fun. There's one last technique that I want you to play with, and that's what happens if you want to take a function and you want to turn it on its side. So here we have y is equal to x squared. If I take every y and replace it by an x, and every x and replace it by a y, look at what happens. I've taken this parabola that's pointing upward, and I turned it on its side. It now opens to the right instead of up. So in the first equation, x is the variable that you plug in. You plug in -2 and you get 4. You plug in 1, you get 1. But in this second equation, we're now making the y the independent variable. So here you plug in -2 and you get x is equal to +4. Or you plug in y is equal to 1 and you get x is equal to 1. So the result is that the graphs of the functions are exactly the same, except that they're reflected about this line, y is equal to x. So in order for you to do this exchange and to make this work, you have to replace every time you see a y by an x, and every time you see an x by a y. So if I were to write, so I'm going to turn these other ones off, off, y is equal, so I'm going to take a y and I'm going to write as x. X is equal to y to the 4th minus 4y squared plus 3. So I've taken this black curve and I've replaced it and I've flipped it across this line, y equals x. I've turned the graph on its side so that now the red curve opens to the side instead of opening upwards. Okay, so now if you have a shape that is in one direction, you can turn it on its side and it would change the direction of the shape. Later on in the course, we're going to learn how to not just flip it, but also rotate these functions. All right, let's practice these skills. What Desmos code would recreate this image? Okay, I'm going to give a little bit of a hint here. So if you don't want this hint, pause the video. You should look at this function and you should see that it has this, we've seen a function like this before. We've seen y equals x cubed, and that's a function that opens upwards. But now this one is a sideways type of function. So then we would have y is equal to, so we change the x's and the y's and we get x is equal to y cubed. And we're getting closer to what this should look like. So if you're playing around with this, we should put in some sliders. We should maybe write all the different ways that we could do this. Y equals plus by squared plus cy plus d. And then we should play around with these values to figure out what the right value is. So why don't you play around with it and give us your best guess for what this function is. All right, that's it for this. See you next time.